for each country, how can we ensure that people responsible for GPMO act accordingly and in compliance? Just a second. Okay, now let me see. Okay, as the culture differs for each country, how can we ensure that people responsible for GPMO act accordingly and in compliance to each country culture? For example, an American in GPMO may not understand the business culture in Middle East. Okay. This question has come from Adil Mohammed. Adil, as we know, there are cultural differences. These are I say these are intangible issues. You actually cannot document these things. This has to come from experience. When I indicated the challenges which are there in the global projects, that means we need to take note of these important issues related to culture. But on a documentation side, it's quite difficult. So it actually comes with experience. That's how I learned while executing a lot of projects on a global platform. I hope, Adil, this answers your question, because I may not be able to do these are standard sets of rules and regulations when you're dealing with people in the Middle East. These are standard sets of rules and regulations when you're dealing with people in US or UK. This cannot be documented. This has to actually come from experience. Yes, the communication is key. You communicate with your stakeholder in a nice and proper manner with good salutation, and that's also purpose, I believe. Now, in the second question, if a large organization implement, say, 1,000 projects per year, how GPMO can ensure timely response is given? How big this GPMO office be? How many people to ensure timely response? How many projects are prioritized? Okay, this seems to be a really good question. For example, it's quite hypothetical that so many projects in 1 year, because I also spoke during my presentation thousands of projects. Assuming that there are thousands of projects per year. Now we need to standardize the process. We need to balance how one PMO or one project manager can handle how many projects. So that balancing act has to come from the director of Global Project Management Office, who need to understand who's handling what is the loading capacity loading on each project manager. Based on that, he can delegate the projects to everyone so that everyone is equally balanced. Now, how can we set up a mechanism like this? So what we have done in our organization is that, for example, right now I'm handling 5 projects. Now my capacity is actually exhausted. So they also know that, and we have a central mechanism of dashboard, which I showed it to you, where we keep on measuring the performance on weekly and monthly basis, and accordingly we load the people. This question was just a second. Okay, a lot of questions are scrolling up and down. I know whose question was it. Okay, I'll go to the first, which has come from, what is the difference you see between managing product and projects? For me, the product and projects are almost same, because project is also going to deliver a tangible result which will bring revenue, and a product will also deliver a tangible benefit which will again bring revenue. So managing a product and managing a project brings almost same challenges. Maybe Ramesh, with your experience, you may have different opinion, because my experience, because in telecommunication industry, we have bandwidth capacity available. We sell in a different format. Like we sell it as a voice, as a data, as a carrier, as an enterprise. So we sell in different. We make different product out of it and sell it to various consumers. But for me, the challenge is that how you implement that project. So this product is sold from that project. So product needs to be managed as a project only. And if you have something, we can discuss it later on also. Kindly elaborate TLA, 3-letter. What? Okay, KRA. KRA stand for key research areas, which is every individual in an organization. Maybe yours also, I'm not sure. But in my organization, we have defined KRAs for various people for a project. Yeah. Yeah, we have KRAs for different people, and KRAs are defined based on type of role or type of job they are handling right now. So these are KRAs are used for measuring you against defined, predefined line items. I mean, you define what are you going to do in this particular year. So you define various KRAs as a project manager, for example, delivery of project on time, or improving the processes. So these becomes your KRA, and your end of the year or maybe on monthly or quarterly basis, you're measured on these KRAs. Regarding the next question is Shubha. Yeah, who's there online?
Yeah, Kamlesh, this is Ashok Das.
Yeah, Mr. Ashok, tell me.
Yeah, as you told that PID is as a project charter, then why it is in planning phase, not in initiating process? That is, the project charter is proved that project existence, and before starting planning, we should have the project charter approved. So why it is in planning phase, not in PID in GPMO framework?
Okay, you mean to say why this PID is? See, when I say project charter can be a single page document, right? Mr. Ashok, is it right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, it can be a single page, but so project charter on a broader level defines what this project is all about, which is actually a part of PID. When you say project initiation document, I would like to show you something. Just a second. I'll show it on my screen only. So, yes. So you will understand what PID consists of. So it's basically PID is far more elaborative than a project charter, where you fix up the roles and responsibilities, where you fix up, where you define what exactly the project plan is like. Just a second, I'll show it to you. I think my computer has actually gone slow. Just a second, I'll show it to you. Meanwhile, I'll just pick up this question. See, Mr. Ashok, one thing which I want to highlight here is that the framework which is given in PMP, or you can say defined by PMBOK, are the real good ones. I don't have any doubts about that. How you use them in your day-to-day activities, that matters a lot. So when you say that the project charter should be in the beginning, because project charter suddenly when your sales team they get an offer, they get a sales order from a customer, you immediately don't frame a project charter. You need to go through a process called proposal bidding. You define the you make a proposal. In the process you need to have a lot of elements. What will be the cost of this project, who will be the stakeholder, how will what will be the key milestone, and all those things which you will try to capture in your PID. And the front page of the PID can be your project charter, briefly explained. The project charter is given by the project owner, who's the boss of the organization. In my case, my CTO, he gives me the project charter and he owns it. So that document is actually part of PID document. So I hope this, I would have shown you a sample PID, how we make the PID, and it's quite an exhaustive document which contains a lot of things. Who will be the resources, what is the plan of work, what are the key milestones, how the organization, this project organization will look like, what will be the standard communication tool which will be utilized, what will be the standard documents, how frequently we are going to have a meeting. So all those things is getting captured. It also covers what is the business objective of this project, what is the scope of this project, who are the what are the resources required on these projects. So all those things are getting captured. I hope, Mr. Ashok, this answers your queries. Or in case you have something else, what we can do is we can discuss it offline also. I'll take the next question online. Okay, regarding the stakeholder engagement, should they be looking at ROI, return on investment, or total cost of ownership? Okay, this has come from Shubha. Shubha, I mean, when you say ROI, stakeholder engagement, should we be looking at ROI, return on investment, or total cost of ownership? I think we should look at both the things. These are, I think your question is quite open-ended. We can debate endlessly whether we should look at the return on investment or on total cost of ownership. I'll take your second question, which is regarding stakeholder engagement. Should they be looking at ROI? I think she repeated the same question. Shubha, I think that we should look at both the things, because from a business perspective, the return of investment is important, and from total cost of ownership perspective, that is also equally important. So you need to balance and find out a way which can suit both the requirements. That's how I look at it. Okay, as the next question is from Vinod Kumar. Hi, as the global challenges are almost have similarity to the projects running at one geography or a location, what is the challenge for a project in a global organization? Is it GPMO going to sit with business heads in reality? How things would operate, say for example, in case of retail setup at different location? Vinod, okay, what is the challenge for project in global organization? I think, Vinod, during my course of presentation, I have covered these things. Maybe when you posted this question, I may not have covered this thing, your query, but I hope your query is already covered during my presentation. Hi, as the global challenges, the next question is again from Vinod. Okay, Vinod has posted the same question again. Vinod has posted the same question again. Okay, Adil Mohammed, I have answered your query. Okay, this question I was trying to answer and there was some interruption that time, which says if a large organization implements, say, 1,000 projects per year, how global project manager GPMO can ensure timely response is given? How big this GPMO office should be? How many people to ensure timely response? How projects are prioritized? Okay. Now, first question is how GPMO can ensure timely response is given. Now, we follow a dashboard mechanism where anything which goes red is actually read across the global platform. I mean, if management also understand this is a serious issue, the teams also understand. So this is how we indicate that we require a timely response on this issue. How big the GPMO office could be? Okay, GPMO office can be, you can keep on expanding as per the number of projects you are owning, and you have to look at the capacity and capability of each project manager who's there in the global project management office, and then you can delegate the projects accordingly. How many people to ensure timely response? I think if you have a central mechanism like what we have in our organization, we use SharePoint. It's a collaborative tool where every project manager is required to post his feedback on SharePoint. There is a central plan, there's a dashboard mechanism, and through that, not many people are required except project managers. I mean, I don't think so anybody is required except project managers to do this job. How projects are prioritized? Now this is a very good question, because how projects are, how you are going to prioritize the project? The simple answer is on the business need. That's because we are here to do business, and if you find a project is going to give you return at a very later stage, and it's going to consume a lot of resources from your side in terms of cost and manpower, and there is another project, second project, which is going to immediately repay you the money. So management has to decide that which is beneficial, and there are a lot of ifs and buts in terms of strategic benefits, in terms of customer benefits, in terms of other benefits also. So that call has to be taken by management, whether project A has to go first or project B has to go first. And then based on management decision, because management got a overview of how the projects are running in the organization through a central mechanism called global PMO. And in consultation with global PMO, they can take a call which project needs to be pipeline first, and then the second, and then third, and subsequently. I think Adil, I've answered your query. And what we do is we in our organization we have a pipeline model. We know that we are limited in resources, because resources are never unlimited. Resources include manpower, money, and your machineries. So keeping that into your mind, management takes the decision, and there's a pipeline, and in this pipeline, how many projects we can push through at this point of time. So they keep on deciding, and there are push-pull of projects happens in consultation with management, and those projects which case the priority has to go for a relay race. I mean, they have to go on a relay race, complete the project as early as possible, release the resources so it's available for other people to use it. Please explain more about project closure report. Okay, project closure report is basically when you're closing the project. This has come from Chandra Singh. Chandra Singh, if you require, I can give you the bullet points how the project closure reports are made. But for the forum, because a lot of people are there on the forum, you can have a project closure report covering a lot of aspects. Like there has to be a closure for deliverables, what was decided in the beginning of the project, that these are the deliverables, and it should meet the audit or quality requirement of the end user. You can say customer also. So audit has to be in place. Then you need to measure yourself in terms of time, the baseline time, the project baseline. What was the baseline when you planned the project, and what is the baseline when you are completing the project? So why there is a difference? So you capture those differences. What are the reasons? So you need to document these things, because these things are almost similar on a global scale. So once you document this, this is used as a knowledge base, as a knowledge tool by a lot of other people in the organization. So they can use what lessons we have learned from the previous project similar to this one. So those knowledge areas are covered. I mean, the knowledge are captured and kept at the central place, and it can be used. So you don't fall into the same track when you are implementing a project which is almost similar to what has happened in the past. So those things we are capturing on a project closure report, and this document, it covers almost everything in terms of cost, timeline, audit issues, quality issues, outstanding work list, and various analysis also. So this document is really good document once you close the project as learning for new projects. I mean, if you're taking a new project in future. This question has come from Mr. Ashok Dash. I think Mr. Dash and myself, because he has thrown a question, what are the basic difference in GPMO and PMBOK framework? See, I say PMBOK is Bible for me also, because a lot of principles which are given in the PMBOK are really fantastic, but when it comes to practical application, you may not be able to use all of them. So what is suitable for you, you pick up those things from the PMBOK framework and adopt in your organization. So that is how we work. I don't say those cannot be picked up. They can be picked up in a different form. Maybe two things get clubbed as one. So you pick up those things from the framework and use it. So that's I think, Mr. Ashok, I've answered your query here. And in case, Mr. Ashok, you have still something on this issue, on this question, then we can discuss it later on also. Which in your opinion, this question has come from Narayan, which in your opinion has been the biggest challenge of all in the global projects? Is it culture or value systems? I think it's may not be, I may not be able to differentiate which is culture is the biggest challenge or value, but both of them are really biggest challenge, because for example, Japanese, when I meet Japanese, if you don't call them san, they feel offended. When you say san, it means sir. They feel literally offended. And I'm sorry, even you may be junior to them in age or maybe in experience, they'll still call you san. And when you meet them, they'll shake your hand and they'll literally bow down. And they expect the same thing from others also. I'm sorry, just a second. That's how the culture differences are there across globe, and both of us are equally important. We must respect their culture and their values. They'll respect our culture, because our organization is Reliance Globalcom. It's basically a huge organization which has got which is spread across the entire globe. We have presence all over the globe. So we find people from different culture with different values, but we still respect all the culture, everyone's culture and values also. And when we plan in our project, we take into consideration these things also. These may not be noted down somewhere in the PID document that when you're dealing with Japanese, you have to do this, but it is understood. It is understood when you say this project is happening in this location, so people understand through PID that this culture of people are involving in this project. As PID is same as project charter, then why is it planning phase, not in the initiating phase? See, initiating, Mr. Ashudas will take this question later on also, because I believe I have answered this. Because you have a valid point. I don't say that you don't have a valid point. I say you have a valid point. Why I'm saying that in the initiating phase, a lot of things are in plasma state, in really a plasma state, because you know how projects happen. Projects happen because on a click of a button, you are sitting in office, you get a call from your director PMO, boss, you got a project in your hand now, and you don't know ABCD about the project. You don't know who are the people involved in the project. This is how the project happens. So, because on a global scale, when the projects are happening, you don't know where the projects are going to take off. Because everyone on the business side, I mean on the sales or the product side, they are continuously working on opportunities. And suddenly this opportunity in where the customer finds, okay, fine, I need this. There's a business requirement, and he suddenly comes back to our sales team or product team. They say and says, okay, boss, take off this project now. And suddenly you find a mail from somewhere from your boss, having you're nominated as project manager for this particular project. This is how the project happens. So initiating phase is basically a plasma phase, where you get involved with the sales team also. You are not clear what exactly is the scope. And the sales team, who's not a technical guy, who's looking from a sales perspective, you start involving a lot of people in the initiation phase, and then you actually get into once there is an approval on the technical solution given by the project team. Then you get into a planning phase. You do actual planning. You do the detailing of every activity in the plan of work and fixing up responsibility. And then it actually takes off during the kickoff meeting. I think, Mr. Ashok, you have a valid point, but I have a justification here which may not be able to meet your, I think, understanding or your requirement. But we can discuss on this later on. I'll share my mail ID on the last slide. It is there. Just a second. You can, if somebody wants to fire some questions or something, he can use my email IDs or mobile phone number also. Now the next question which has come from Aditya Kamble. I think he has left. Okay, he has got a very good valid point here. I strongly feel that GPMO should function as a profit center for better visibility and accountability, having I dot format. Do you agree? Yes. Yes, we should function as profit center, which the profit will be incurred. I mean, the GPMO will get some revenue when they deliver the projects on time. So if that is the thing, that is the question you're trying to project here, yes, then you can become a profit center. Only it has to be an internal transfer of revenue. Because as such, GPMOs or PMOs, they are overhead. They don't, in IT projects also, if you are not billable, you're not earning revenue for the company. So GPMO or PMO in IT organization, you'll find they are basically an overhead. They will come in the unbillable report. That is how I look. But if you internally say on-time delivery or better control mechanism on your revenue or on your resources, will credit PMO with certain amount or certain dollar figures, then yes, GPMO can become a profit center, and they should be held accountable for this. Next question has come from Narayan Raghavan. What practices are relevant in today's context to address the value system gaps for success of global projects? I think I already covered this when I think this question was asked by okay, you Narayan only asked this question. Okay, I think Narayan, I have answered your query, or you can shoot a mail to me, then we can keep on discussing or deliberating on this. The next is Anant Subramanian. Hi, I am Anant from SIFI. What kind of challenge will be faced while handling multilingual projects, and what could be a solution for that? I think a common project language will be the solution for this. You define on, once you have a PID document which has gone to all the stakeholder, you define the communication plan, how frequently you want to communicate, what will be the communication document, will it be a minutes of the meeting, or you're going to use a RAID log, I mean risk, action, issues and dependency log. So once you define this communication in a multilingual project, common project language and your communication document, it holds the key. It will surely help the project to succeed. The next question which has come from Venkat Raman. When is the right time to set up a GPMO? Is the company organization need to be big to set up a PMO? See, as you know, the GPMO is basically an overhead, but only if you do the internal transfer of revenue on some KRAs defined for GPMO, then I think then you'll find a lot of challenges in GPMO. I mean, they need to show themselves as a profit center by meeting those KRAs. One of the KRA can be delivery of project on time, or collecting revenue from your customers on time. Like in IT, people are billed, the resources who are working on site or off site, they are billed accordingly. So if you collect the revenue on time on month-to-month basis and your balance sheets are really good and there is no discrepancy, then you can set up some revenue target or some dollar figures which will be earned by GPMO. So your question is, when is the right time to set up a GPMO? When you find you have you need to have, your organization is not able to, there are multiple projects happening around, unable to control the various projects happening in the organization, and you are unable to provide a central window of transparency through which management can have a view of entire projects which are happening in the organization, then I think that is the right time you need to have a global project management office, and you need to have that many number of projects. And also it needs to have it needs to bring some global challenges, because standardization, like you people in UK, they believe in standardization. If there is a standard document, they'll keep on following it. If there's nothing standard, then there's nothing happening around. So standardization is one of the important thing, which is one of the global challenges, because you're communicating with people in different geographies, different culture, different languages, different time zones. So there has to be some mechanism on standardization. So if your organization finds you're going to get a lot of dollar values, you're going to have some revenue, and the number of projects have gone up, yes, that is the right time you can plan for a GPMO. The next question which has come from Prasad: in global projects, communication is the most important process, which if we ignore, I'll repeat the questions. In global projects, communication is the most important process, which if we ignore, there will be delays in project schedule. I agree. How do we effectively handle communication in global projects? Despite having a communication plan in place, there may be issues, and how can we handle the communication issues? Yes, I agree that despite having a communication plan also, that in a global project people don't respond sometimes, and you find there is a difference of opinion, or you are not able to get the response in time. The most important thing when you are dealing in a global project, human element is one of the important thing. You need to be first a human being to understand his feeling, and then a project manager with a stick. If you're human, I mean you're communicating with the stakeholder who's sitting in different geographical location with a good note, good morning or good evening, and talking to him on the phone, that builds a personal human touch. So that is one of the important elements, that only by showing a document that this is a communication plan and this is how we need to communicate will not solve the purpose. Yes, we need to have human touch, but a documentation is equally important sometimes. So you need to have combination of both the human element and a process in place for communication, and this will help you in long run. I hope I answered your question, Prasad. Why can't we have a standard for PMO office? Why do companies spend a lot of money on setting up the same process? Given the fact that every organization has different vision, but working principles are same. I agree with you. Mr. Chandrasekhar has thrown this question. Yes, we can have standards for PMO, and there are global standards also. I believe it's available on PMO processes, PMO office. It's available, and there are organizations. I mean, there are various consultancy organizations who are offering these services of setting up a global PMO using standard tools, systems, mechanisms, etc. So we can have. But what happens is the most important challenge is implementation. If you are implementing a global project management office, then I've shown you a slide on caution. So those things you must keep it in your mind, that are you doing anything of this, it will seriously affect the implementation process, and it has to be really slow, with understanding, taking one step ahead and then moving backward, taking one step ahead. So this is how it works. I mean, take 2 steps ahead, you can move half step behind, but you need to understand how your people are behaving, because rather than setting up it's not a physical structure. You are trying to set up a human structure, a global structure for, because at the uh, end of in any project you'll find human beings, the human resources are important element, because they are the people who are going to drive the project. So you need to take them into consideration before you take up some initiative like this, and then you move ahead. Yes, you'll find a lot of challenges, a lot of people they'll not own it up, but there has to be a clear directive from top or a mandate from top that we are going to implement this. So that brings, there are benefits associated with it which you need to indicate it to these people, because I felt with my experience that the moment you put a process, people don't like it. So you need to first make them adopt these processes, and they should feel tangible benefits out of it. And if they say I don't find any tangible benefit, then I think that guy is irrational or illogical. But if you find there are a lot of people who are finding yes, there is a tangible benefit, and this guy is not finding it, then there is an irrational element in your organization, and you know how to get rid of this organization. The mandate has come. The mandate has to be followed. Somebody who come with so many years of experience, who's your boss, or who's a guiding man, who's guiding you to set up this PMO, and mandate has come, so it needs to be followed. Only thing, how it needs to be implemented, that's more of an art rather than a process. Okay, this has come from Anant Subramaniam. During GPMO, the resource costs may vary based on geographical location. How the cost is managed and tracked. See, in the beginning of my presentation, I clearly mentioned that I'll not be covering on financial and political issues, because these two domains has a different dynamics altogether. Like for example, your project was of 100 crores, or for example 100 million, $1 million, for example, $1 million, and suddenly today you find that rupee has actually depreciated. So there will be always a fluctuation. So if you want to take care of cost from a project perspective, in terms of when we are talking about global projects, then it has to be dealt in a different manner. But if you're talking about how the cost is managed and tracked, there are various tools available, like you can, for each and every activity in your project plan, you can associate a cost. One is one tool which we were using long back, not right now, because there is a tool called EVA, Earned Value Analysis, that can be utilized, where you need to put a lot of you need to give a lot of inputs in your project plan in terms of cost and resources, and then as you progress on the project, it will give you the earned value analysis report. How does GPMO get involved with the funding of projects in the organization? Okay, when we say funding of project, because there has to be a management approval. If the project scope and size is quite huge, requiring huge amount of money, then it goes to the board of directors of the company, and they take a call on this based on the proposal which was built on this. They look at the proposal, and if it has strategic and business value, then the project takes off. So the question is, how does GPMO get involved with the funding of projects in the organization? The funding of projects is based on the revenue you're going to incur. If there is a revenue which is going to you're going to gain, then based on the revenue which you're going to receive from that project and the cost associated with the project, you can develop a cash flow statement, and you can calculate the various financial parameters like IRR and NPV, and then management is also aware of this, that I'm going to incur this much of revenue in this financial year or the next financial year, and then they look at the strategical benefit of this project, and then you can take a call on this. So these things are, when you build a proposal, this is part of the proposal which goes for the management approval, and then the funding of the projects happen. So GMO role is to bring GPMO is not directly involved with the sales team or maybe the technical team, but they are working in close, I mean, close quarters with all these teams. So the funding of the project, ensuring that the funding of project happens based on the profitability, or you can say the revenue which can be incurred from these projects. The next question is from Ramesh. How do you manage projects which use the open source, and how do you handle the pricing globally for the product or application? How do you manage projects which use the open source? How do you handle the pricing globally for the product or application? Mr. Ramesh, I may not be able to answer this question because I don't think I've understood your question properly. So if you would like to, there's an email written on the slide. If you can throw, then we can discuss on this later on also. You can use my email ID and throw this question back to me again, and then we can discuss on this. Keshav, do we have any other questions?
I think we have answered most of the questions. If there are any question unanswered, then we can answer them offline. So now we can conclude this session.
Okay, the last thing. Yeah, the last thing before we conclude. See, in my presentation, I was not using a lot of words. I mean, the presentation which was shown to you has bullet points, but there is a separate script for what I was talking to you guys. So if somebody would like to have that script, I mean the presentation also, he can through techgeek.com, he can send me a request, and I can send a copy of that presentation along with the script. So if it can help your organization, and then it's good for me also and good for everyone. This is the way how we collaborate and learn from each other. I think Keshav, I'm finished. I don't have any other question. I think we can conclude this session now. Keshav? Hello?
Oh yeah, now we are concluding this.
Yeah, I'm closing this session now. Okay?
Thanks, Mr. Sushil, for your informative session on leadership of global PMO to meet global challenges. It was indeed an enlightening session. I would also like to thank our participants for their support in making this webinar a huge success. The recording of this webinar will be available on techgeek.com by tomorrow. The next session in the Software Project Management webinar series is happening tomorrow, that is 20th December at 3 p.m. Topic for the webinar is Project Estimation, Techniques, Challenges and Best Practices. We will be having Mr. Rahul Sudhame, Senior Project Manager at Calsoft Private Limited, as our guest speaker. So see you all tomorrow at 3 p.m. Have a nice day. Thank you.